Chairman Paul Manafort is now suing special counsel Robert Mueller, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, and the Justice Department in federal court. Manafort's lawyers say Rosenstein acted beyond his authority and that Mueller's investigation went into areas it was not authorized to pursue, saying, quote, those alleged dealings had no connection whatsoever to the 2016 presidential election or even to Donald Trump. But the Justice Department quick to respond, with one official saying simply the lawsuit is frivolous, but the defendant is entitled to file whatever he wants. Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, a law professor at George Washington University. Good of you to be here this morning, Professor. We're all wondering, does he have a case?
Well, he's got a good point, but I think he has a bad case. I would bet that this would fail fairly quickly in the federal courts for two reasons. One is the mandate given to Mueller was incredibly broad. Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein allowed him to look into anything that arose during the investigation that essentially came to his attention that might be criminal. The second reason is that courts, like most citizens, generally don't react well to accused felons saying, I was caught by the wrong cop. And so I think that this is likely to fail. It has, however, one valid point. There is no question that the indictment of Paul Manafort is removed considerably in both time and context from the original purpose of the special counsel's investigation. I think that is demonstrably true.
Well, I mean, there's so much that he's arguing here. He's taking on a lot. And obviously, one of the biggest points is whether or not Mueller's appointment was illegal to begin with, before he goes on to say if the court doesn't rule on that, he'll move forward with other things. But your take on that, was Mueller's appointment illegal?
Well, I think this is simply a dog that won't hunt. I have a column in The Hill today saying that despite the valid objections, it might be viewed by Paul Manafort as unfair. This is something that the courts have previously looked at. They are unlikely to declare that the appointment of Mueller is unlawful or unconstitutional. I think Manafort has arguments he can make to these charges, but I think he needs to focus on the trial, not the investigation.
And it's all a good point, but at the end of the day, Jonathan, what does this all mean for the Mueller probe?
Look, I think that in a strange way, Mueller might be happy with this challenge. You know, I think it's likely that the court is going to give him a clean bill of health, saying that he has a right to look into these matters. So for him, I'm not too sure this is going to be a bad thing. I think Paul Manafort is likely to face a fairly quick rejection on these claims, and he will have to look at the next round. The next round may indeed be a superseding indictment. As I've said previously, if you look at the indictment of Manafort and his former associate Gates, there's a lot there alleging criminal conduct that was not charged. So he may be looking at a superseding indictment on issues like tax violations.
You know, you make an interesting point, and one that I have heard a bit about, and it would give Mueller the opportunity to fire back and defend himself in this investigation backed by the court of law. On the other hand, does this put the DOJ in a tight spot, knowing that Mueller's credibility has been attacked on multiple occasions, and this is yet another one? Does it put the DOJ in a predicament here?
Well, this is a speaking complaint. It's clearly designed to speak to the public more generally, to raise these issues of the validity of the Mueller investigation. I don't think that's going to have much of an effect on Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein. He's in this for a penny or a pound, and he's going to continue it. I've said that I thought that Mueller's selection as special counsel was a mistake by Rosenstein. I think he does have some conflicts, including interviewing for Comey's job, which I find surprising he'd be on the short list. But I also have never questioned his integrity. I think he's going to do a fair job. History is the judge. He knows it. People are watching him very carefully. But this lawsuit is not going to make a material change in how he proceeds.
Very interesting stuff. And all this happening as there's also a victory for the House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, and the DOJ has finally agreed to turn over those docs that he's been looking for connected to the unverified Trump dossier. Final thought on that?
Well, frankly, it took too long, and I think Nunes had a very good point. He was threatening contempt against people like Rosenstein. This is part of a pattern in which the DOJ has thumbed its nose at oversight committees. I don't care what the subject is. Those oversight committees have a job to do that's constitutionally founded in Article 1. And it's a good thing they're turning over these documents. And I think Democrats have got to join Republicans in saying, let's get it all out. The allegations against Clinton's campaign, the allegations against Trump's campaign. Let's just go ahead and have a transparent and final look at all these allegations.
All right, a lot going on there. Thanks for covering all of it for us, Professor Turley.
Thank you.